People have been asking me, what happened next? What happened after you left that school and came to Pasadena? So I think I need to tell you the next step. See, the school where I was, and I think I remember the name, but I think maybe I don't want to repeat it. It was like a two-level school or a two-tier school. There were the regular classes, and then somewhere in the school there were other teachers teaching sort of the more advanced honors classes. I didn't have contact with them. I didn't really know much about it, except that qualified us to be part of the 10 school districts, members of the Ideal League of Cooperative Schools. They were like innovative, seeking new ways to advance teaching and the profession. I hadn't a clue. But because I was the new guy on the staff, it fell to me to represent the school or to go to the meetings. I guess nobody else wanted to go to the meetings. So I would be there from our school and would meet these people in the 9 other school districts at their schools. So I got a sense of what was going on. And that's how I met Jarrett Brunson. He was from Pasadena. He was the principal, legendary principal. He was in the later years, so he'd been there a long time. He was like the grand old man, the philosopher who knew everybody and had raised other principals up under his wing. Jefferson School was his. And he and I met, sat together at these meetings, got to talking, figured out that we both felt the same way about education. So we liked each other, and he became my champion. And he said, if you ever come to Pasadena, come to my school. I've got a classroom waiting for you. Well, turns out we made the move. We went to Altadena, which is just north of Pasadena, where Shirley's parents lived and where we were coming in all the time because she was taking her ballet lessons there. Royal Ballet, Royal Academy of Dance. Ooh, high-level stuff. I mean, she was amazing. So we moved in, took our little bit of money, moved the furniture we had, found a house in Altadena. That's a kind of another story too, but we were able to buy it, and so I went shopping around for a job at the Pasadena Unified School District. I didn't realize that the way things were, integration in the country, they said Pasadena is the first school district ordered in the nation to integrate under I don't know what provisions, but apparently it was historic. So that left openings for teachers because a lot of the teachers in the district fled. Didn't want to teach those kids coming over from the west side. I didn't know any of that. I went to Jared's school, Jefferson. Beautiful school. He showed me around. He showed me what would be my classroom. But the kids were so little. This was a primary school. It went as high as 3rd grade, but they're still little in 3rd grade. And I'd look around, where are they? Oh, they're way down there. I said, I don't feel, qualified, competent. I don't know what I would teach. And he said, well, if you ever change your mind, I've got a spot for you. But he said, I'll call around. He said, I know all the principals in all the schools in the district. I'll sort of have them get ready for you. And you've got my recommendation. So that was wonderful. Well, that's how I came to Longfellow. Longfellow was elementary, grades 4 through 6. It was the only school that the Green brothers ever designed. They're the famous architects who were, they did the Gamble House. That's a world-famous example of the kind of bungalow-style, craftsman-style house. And they had one school that they did, and that was Longfellow. It was a nice school. So I sat in the interview, and they were ready for me. They said, okay, we've got a room for you if you want, if you choose us. And I said, can I see your library? because the libraries were a thing for me. I loved them. I loved reading books. I loved promoting them to anybody who would want to read, and especially as a teacher, you want your kids to read. So they took me to the hall, and there were these two, not very big, locked cases against the wall, glass in the front, so you could look through. There were a few shelves and a few books on the shelves. They were locked and nobody knew where the key was, so nobody could get to the books. The kids would walk through the halls on their way to class and look at the few books, and that was their library. So I said, "You need a library." And they said, "Well, it would be nice." And I thought, this could be a project. I could make a library for them, in addition to teaching. So I said, "All right, I'll teach here." And they gave me my room, and I started. First day, I was on bus duty. Boy, I didn't know. We had gone through the first year of we were in the first year of integration. Kids were bussed over from the west side. All these scared little black kids out in the white community, getting off the bus, huddled together. Teachers would line them up and march them to their classes. They'd get through the day and then go home and get on the bus and drive back to their side of town. Well, I saw this. I didn't know what to make of it. I thought, I don't know what's going to be usual or not. We had a black principal. That was nice. He was from the South, from Louisiana. A big, tall, well-filled man, sort of jolly, led the school, and everybody knew him, and he was pretty much beloved. So I settled in. It was a good first year, and they were nice to me. Maybe thanks to Jarrett Brunson, they gave me the top reading class in the 5th grade. So I had the best students. We taught everything. We were departmentalized. So I had science class. So I put on the fright wig and the rubber apron, and I put the sign on it, MS, for mad scientist. But they said it also stands for MS is for Mr. Sterling. And so we did the exam, all the experiments, and I'll tell you about that maybe another time. But that's something to talk about. And then we all taught everything. We all taught social studies. So I had a history book, and it was a pretty good one this time. I used to say, all I know about American history is what I read in the 5th grade textbook, which is almost true. And then we taught art in the class, so I would teach them how to make things that I made up, how to do. And we would teach math, so I would have my math students come in, and some of them were in my reading class too. So I had bright students in all the classes, but none of them like that cherry-picked class of the best in my reading class, and that was my homeroom class too. So, it was a wonderful experience. And I do want to tell you some more about it, because I get enthusiastic, and once you start me, I gush about what I went through. And it's to give a perspective on what teaching and education was like then in those days. This is now in the 70s. We moved up into the 70s. But there are parallels between then and now, and there are things to learn that I'm still learning. Things I tried that worked, so hey, you should try it too. Things I tried that didn't work, you should not try this. And I want to share all that, because you know my sneaky plan is to try to make the world better. I said it at the very beginning. I want to save the world from itself. I want to upgrade civilization. I want us all to be able to get along together, to be able to read and write, and to make life what it ought to be. And I'll tell you more about that later. But we were so happy to be in Altadena, just north of Pasadena. I could walk to school every day. It's about a mile. good exercise. I'd carry my briefcase and go to my classroom, which was my kingdom, my domain. That was like my little world. And I was happy as a clam because I had kids who were wonderful. They were enthusiastic. They wanted to learn. They loved learning things. And so 10 years at Longfellow. More about that later.